Okay, now we're in lecture mode in the members only section. It's February 3rd, 2016, and here's your host, Professor Brad Parsons.
Thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate it. What we're going to talk about today is why the transportation code does not apply to you unless you're in commerce. And I think the best way to do that is show you what the transportation code says. It'll have a lot of words in there that you think you know the meaning of, and then we're going to show you that you don't really know the meaning of them and how it doesn't apply to you. We'll start off with Chapter 541 of the Transportation Code, Section 001, that defines person. In this subtitle, 1, operator means, as used in reference to a vehicle, a person who drives or has physical control of a vehicle. 2, owner means, as used in reference to a vehicle, a person who has a property interest in or title to a vehicle. The term, subsection A, includes a person entitled to use and possess a vehicle subject to a security interest, and B, excludes a lien holder and a lessee whose lease is not intended as security. 3, pedestrian means a person on foot. 4, person means an individual, firm, partnership, association, or corporation. 5, school crossing guard means a responsible person who is at least 18 years of age and is designated by a local authority to direct traffic in a school crossing zone for the protection of children going to or leaving a school. Now we'll go into Chapter 541, 201, vehicles. In this subtitle, and I'm going to skip a lot of this stuff here because it has to do with emergency vehicles and things like that. I want to get down to where it talks about things that you're doing. Bicycle means a device that a person may ride and that is propelled by human power and has 2 tandem wheels, at least one of which is more than 14 inches in diameter. Bus means a motor vehicle used to transport persons and designed to accommodate more than 10 passengers, including the operator. Or B, a motor vehicle other than a taxicab designed and used to transport persons for compensation. Motorcycle means a motor vehicle other than a tractor that is equipped with a rider's saddle and designed to have, when propelled, not more than 3 wheels on the ground. Motor vehicle means a self-propelled vehicle or a vehicle that is propelled by electric power from overhead trolley wires. The term does not include an electric bicycle or an electric personal assistance mobility device, as defined in Section 551.201. Passenger car means a motor vehicle other than a motorcycle used to transport persons and designed to accommodate 10 or fewer passengers, including the operator. Semi-trailer means a vehicle with or without motive power other than a pole trailer. A, designed to be drawn by a motor vehicle and to transport persons or property. And B, constructed so that part of the vehicle's weight and load rests on or is carried by another vehicle. Truck tractor means a motor vehicle designed and used primarily to draw another vehicle, but not constructed to carry a load other than a part of the weight of the other vehicle and its load. Vehicle means a device that can be used to transport or draw persons or property on a highway. The term does not include, subsection A, a device exclusively used on stationary rails or tracks, or subsection B, manufactured housing as the term is defined in Chapter 1201 Occupations Code. Okay, now we're going to go see what some of these terms actually mean. Section 541001, operator means, as used in reference to a vehicle, a person who drives or has physical control of a vehicle. I've got a comment here. You will be described as operating the vehicle. As you will see below, the definition of the term vehicle is something that carries persons or cargo for hire. It's acting in commerce. 2. Owner means, as used in reference to a vehicle, a person who has a property interest or title to a vehicle. The term includes a person entitled to use and possess a vehicle subject to security interest. Subsection 4, person, means an individual, firm, partnership, association, or corporation. This violates the rules of statutory construction because individual person is not a fictitious entity, as are the other things listed. And that's found in the rule ejusdem generis, and that it applies. And what that basically says is that anything listed in something like this has to be of the same kind, type, or nature. So a person is described as a corporation, association, organization, and a firm is obviously a fictitious entity. So is a partnership, an association, or a corporation. An individual, on the other hand, is supposed to be a living, breathing being, a sentient being, a man or a woman. So it doesn't belong in the same type of or kind of category as the others, unless they can show a definition where the term individual is a fictitious entity. Now we're going to go into chapter 541.201, and it starts to get interesting here. Subsection 3, bus, is a motor vehicle used to transport persons and designed to accommodate more than 10 passengers, including the operator. And I have a comment over here. The term transportation is the act of transporting and relates to the term transport as the root word. Transportation is defined in Black's 6th as the movement of goods or persons from one place to another by a carrier. The term carrier is defined in Black's 6th as individual engaged in transporting passengers or goods for hire. A carrier means any person engaged in the transportation of passengers or property by land as a common, contract, or private carrier, or freight forwarder, as those terms are used in the Interstate Commerce Act, as amended, and officers, agents, and employees of such carriers, unquote. Ergo, the word transport means transportation, transporting, involves participation in commerce, acting for hire. Now things are going to make a little more sense here. A motor vehicle other than a taxi cab designed and used to transport persons for compensation. So these are the definitions of a bus. A farm tractor is a motor vehicle. It's used for commerce. Implements of husbandry means a vehicle other than a passenger car or truck that is designed and adapted for use as a farm implement, machinery, or a tool for tilling the soil. It's used for commerce. Motor vehicle, a farm implement or implement of husbandry is also a motor vehicle designed and adapted to deliver feed to livestock in commerce. Light truck means a truck including a pickup truck, panel delivery truck, or a carry-all truck that has manufactured rating carrying capacity of 2,000 pounds or less. Now you notice it doesn't call a truck a vehicle or a motor vehicle. However, we are in this section of definition of vehicles, and I think they're going to try to stretch that into there because of where it is. Motorcycle means a motor vehicle. So that's also commerce. If you happen to be riding a motorcycle and you're not in commerce, then those laws don't apply to you. The term motor vehicle means a self-propelled vehicle, or a vehicle that is propelled by electric power from overhead trolley wires. Manufactured school activity bus is a motor vehicle. A passenger car, which is what most of your sedans and coupes are registered as, means a motor vehicle other than a motorcycle used to transport persons and designed to accommodate 10 or fewer passengers, including the operator. Road tractor means a motor vehicle designed and used to draw another vehicle, but not constructed to carry a load independently or part of the weight of the other vehicle or its load. School activity bus means a bus designed to accommodate more than 15 passengers, including the operator, and is owned, operated, rented, or leased by the school district, county school, open enrollment charter school, whatever. School bus is a motor vehicle that was manufactured in compliance with the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards or school bus in effect on the date of the manufacturer that is used to transport pre-primary, primary, or secondary students on a route to or from school or on a school-related activity trip other than on routes to and from school. Semi-trailer means a vehicle with or without motive power other than a pull truck. A, designed to be drawn by a motor vehicle and to transport persons or property. Trailer means a vehicle other than a pull trailer with or without motive power. A, designed to be drawn by a motor vehicle and to transport persons or property. And B, constructed so that no part of the vehicle's weight and load rests on the motor vehicle. Truck means a motor vehicle designed, used, or maintained primarily to transport property. Truck tractor means a motor vehicle designed and used primarily to draw another vehicle, but not constructed to carry a load other than a part of the weight of the other vehicle and its load. Vehicle means a device that can be used to transport or draw persons or property on a highway. The term does not include a device exclusively used on stationary rails or tracks. B, manufactured housing, as that term is defined in Chapter 1201 Occupations Code. So a vehicle is something that is used in commerce to transport or draw persons or property for hire. So primarily what this means is that when you travel from one place to another in your own privately owned automobile or other means of private conveyance, your car, your pickup truck, you're not really in commerce. You're traveling to the store, you're traveling to see friends, you're traveling to work or traveling back home again. And you're not using the roadways in a commercial manner. So all of the sections in the transportation code apply to vehicles, and what you use is not a vehicle.
Okay, Brad, why don't we open this up for some questions?
All right, let's open this up for questions. Anybody have any questions or comments on what we just went through? Wait. Okay, let's go back to the text. Thank you. I really appreciate it. What we're going to discuss in this sequence is the red light ordinances involving cameras taking pictures of the alleged violators. I have here an ordinance 17677-072007. It is an ordinance from the city of Fort Worth, Texas, but I feel that the other cities that have these cameras, that their ordinances will be very similar to the one that is written here. An ordinance providing for the implementation of an automated red light enforcement program in the city of Fort Worth, Texas, through the amendment of Chapter 22, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, of the Code of the City of Fort Worth, Texas, 1986, as amended. Now, I wanted to tell you, breaking away from the text here, that we have a video entitled Definitions, Why You're Not Subject to the Transportation Code, which explains the government has convinced you that your automobile, car, private conveyance is actually a vehicle, when in fact it is not. Vehicles are used in commerce, cars are not. Back to the text. As amended by the addition of Article 12, titled Automated Red Light Enforcement, imposing a civil penalty, providing this ordinance be accumulative, providing for severability, providing for a publication, and becoming effective the day after the second publication date. I want to break away from the text again. Civil penalty, as we'll see later on, is something that they have just come up with. You have a right to due process in a civil case, just as you have a right to due process in a criminal case. Due process is simply that you have a right to be heard in a court of competent jurisdiction. You're going to see that they are citing us into an administrative court, which is not either a civil court or a criminal court. Section 12.01, definitions. In this article, city shall mean the city of Fort Worth, Texas. Contractor shall mean the contractor hired by the city to install, operate, enforce, and administer the city's automated red light enforcement system. Well, this is a civil company. It is not a government, and it is not a police officer, and yet it's going to take a picture of your car and send you a notice telling you to send them money. Back to the text. Department shall mean the City of Fort Worth Department of Transportation and Public Works. Again, we'll leave the text. The Department of Transportation and Public Works, I don't think has anything to do with law enforcement either. Section 1202, imposition of a civil penalty for creating a dangerous intersection. Quote, subsection A. A vehicle that proceeds into an intersection when the traffic control signal for that vehicle's direction of travel is emitting a steady red signal damages the public by endangering vehicle operators and pedestrians alike, by decreasing the efficiency of traffic control and traffic flow efforts, and by increasing the number of serious accidents to which public safety agencies must respond to the expense or at the expense of the taxpayer. And I've written in here, it only increases accident safety ratio if there is an accident. If there is an accident, then you have a victim. If you have a victim, then you have a cause of action criminally and civilly. Without a victim, you don't have such a cause of action. The state cannot be a cause of action, cannot be a victim. Subsection B, the owner of a motor vehicle is liable to the city for a civil penalty if, while facing only a steady red signal displayed by an electronically operated traffic control signal operated in the city of Fort Worth, the vehicle is operated in violation of the instructions of that traffic control signal as specified by Texas Transportation Code 544.007, subsection D as in David, close. And I wrote a comment here. There is no due process. They just say that you owe it, and that's it. You don't get to be heard. You don't get to go to a court of competent jurisdiction, whether it be civil or criminal. Subsection C, the civil penalty for which the owner is liable for each violation is $75. I'm going to break away from the text again. We're dealing here with something called a motor vehicle. And a motor vehicle, as we explained in the other video, is commercial. That means it's on the street for the purpose of transporting passengers and or cargo for hire. So that would be taxi cabs, buses, trucks, even automobiles that transport packages, for example, couriers. They are using the highways commercially, and that automobile then becomes a motor vehicle while it's being used for that purpose. Back to the text. An owner who fails to timely pay the civil penalty shall be subject to a late payment of $25. Section 1203, Enforcement Procedures. A, the department, and I'll break away again, is the Department of Peace officer. Back to the text. The department is responsible for the enforcement and administration of this article. Upon authorization of the City Council of the City of Fort Worth, a contractor will be hired to perform these functions. Break away from the text again. Remember, the definition of a department is an agency or a company that has been hired by the city to put up these cameras and send alleged violators notices which primarily say, send me money. Back to the text. Subsection C, Section 8. The number of days the person has in which to pay or contest the imposition of the civil penalty, and a statement that the person incurs a late payment penalty if the civil penalty is not paid or imposition of the penalty is not contested within that period. Said number of days cannot be less than 30 days after the date the notice was mailed. So already they've got you guilty. And if you're going to contest it, you have to go to a very special court that they have set up. It's an administrative hearing from an administrative law judge, which in fact is not a judge at all. It's just somebody who's chosen to do that job.
Brad, one thing to note is that you're being drug in as a defendant under this situation when you really need to be coming in as a plaintiff in the administrative courts. They're not expecting that. Okay, let's go back to the text. Go ahead, Brad.
Subsection 9. A statement that the owner of the vehicle in the notice of violation may elect to pay the civil penalty sent to a specified address instead of appearing at the time and place of the administrative adjudicative hearing. Again, this is a breaking away from the text. This is an administrative adjudicative hearing. It's not a civil trial, and it is not a criminal trial. And they have taken away, or tried to take away, many of the rights that you have in a civil trial and a criminal trial. We'll get into that in a little while. Breaking away from the text again, I want to point out that not only are you not in a civil court or a criminal court, but you're in an administrative law court, and you are already assumed to be guilty. They are treating you like you're guilty, and it is nothing more than a corporation designed to make money from you. It's a revenue-gathering activity. It has nothing to do with enforcing the laws, and it has very little to do with safety.
Let me also point out, this is where you, as a plaintiff, will come in and point out their violations. They are trying to loop you into commerce, and they can't do that. However, if you allow them to drag you in as a defendant, you will lose every time. This is why we are teaching you now to be prepared so you can file your action as soon as you receive this in the mail. Go ahead, Brad.
Back to the text. Subsection 10. Subsection A. Information that informs the person named of the notice of the violation of the owner's right to contest the imposition of the civil penalty against the person in an administrative adjudication. B. That imposition of the civil penalty may be contested by submitting a written request for an administrative adjudication hearing before the expiration of the period specified under subsection 8 of this section. Subsection C. That failure to pay the civil penalty or to contest liability for the penalty in a timely manner is an admission of liability and a waiver of the owner's right to appeal the imposition of the civil penalty. Break away from the text again. This section says that the failure of the defendant to pay the civil penalty or to register a protest or contest the liability of the penalty in a timely manner wipes out their ability to then plead not guilty. It also wipes out their ability to appeal. So they've just taken everything away from you there. Back to the text, subsection D. The failure to appear at an administrative adjudication hearing after having requested a hearing is an admission of liability and a waiver of the owner's right to appeal the imposition of the civil penalty. Break away from the text. Again, they've done the same thing here. If you don't show up at the administrative adjudication hearing, they can't put a warrant out for you. There's absolutely nothing they can do except notify the state of Texas or whatever state you're in and tell them that there is this liability against you. And when you go to apply for a license again, they can probably tell you you can't have it until you take care of that.
However, this is your opportunity to bring the fight to them. So you want to make sure that you file as a plaintiff immediately, because here is where you have an opportunity to win the lawsuit. This is setting the ground stage for your lawsuit. Brad, go ahead.
Subsection F. That if the owner fails to timely pay the amount of the civil penalty, an arrest warrant may not be issued for the owner, and the imposition of a civil penalty may not be recorded on the owner's driving record. This is totally administrative. It has nothing to do with civil laws, and it has nothing to do with criminal laws. Section 12.06, Administrative Adjudicative Hearing. Subsection C, the City Council of the City of Fort Worth will appoint a hearings officer or officers with authority to administer oaths and issue orders compelling the attendance of witnesses and the production of documents. A designated hearings officer shall conduct the administrative adjudications hearing. Subsection D, in an administrative adjudication hearing, the issue must be proven by a preponderance of the evidence. Break away from the text. This is an alleged crime, and must be held, ruled. I can't even read my own writing here. And must be, must be held in the court of competent jurisdiction. Okay. This is an alleged crime and must be held in a court of competent jurisdiction, proven beyond a reasonable doubt. While we're here, I'm going to just tell you what the definition of crime is so that you'll understand where we're going. A crime or public offense is an act committed or omitted in violation of a law forbidding or commanding it, and to which is annexed upon conviction either or any combination of the following punishments: death, imprisonment, fine, removal from office, or disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit in this state. So if there is a law, an ordinance, statute, whatever, that makes some act a violation of that law, or the failure to perform an act a violation of that law, and there is attached to that law one of the punishments that I set forth there, you've got a crime. This is the perfect definition of a crime. And yet what they've done is taken away your ability to have a criminal action, and they don't even give you a civil action. They have taken you in front of an administrative hearing officer, which has to do with corporations. This brings up another good point. They are assuming that you are a corporation. Section 52, that's 5.2, of the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure says that any allegation that you are a corporation must be rebutted by an affidavit submitted to the court. Now, the fact that your driver's license is in all capital letters means that you're a corporation. Yes, I know you didn't spell your name with all capital letters when you applied for your driver's license. But the state did that to you anyway, didn't they? So they've made you a corporation, and that's why they can hold this administrative hearing for you. Back to the text, subsection E. The reliability of the photographic traffic enforcement system used to produce the recorded image of the motor vehicle involved in the violation may be attested to by affidavit of an officer or employee of the city or of the contractor who is responsible for inspecting and maintaining the system. This violates your right to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States and your right under Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution of the State of Texas. I don't know what rights are in every other state, but they all have the same thing. You have a right to be confronted by the witnesses against you and to cross-examine them after they've testified. You cannot cross-examine an affidavit. That's why in a criminal court or a civil court, when they try to introduce an affidavit, the opposition can object to it, and that affidavit should be, and most often is, not allowed to be put into evidence. But they're violating both state rights and United States rights here. Subsection F. An affidavit of an officer or employee of the city of the contractor that alleges a violation based on an inspection of the application recorded image is 1. Admissible in the administrative adjudication hearing and in an appeal under Section 12.08 of this article, and 2. Evidence of the facts contained in the affidavit. Subsection I. A person who is found liable for a civil penalty after an administrative adjudication hearing shall pay the civil penalty within 30 calendar days of the hearing.
Okay, Brad, let's stop there, open it up for questions, and then we can start again and get to the actual ticket.
Yeah, okay. Here's an actual notice of a violation sent out by a corporation that is contracted with by the City of Fort Worth. Notice on the top it says City of Fort Worth, Texas Automated Red Light Enforcement. P.O. Box 22091 in Tempe, Arizona. Now, Fort Worth is not in Tempe, Arizona, for any of you who are not familiar with the state of Texas and the state of Arizona. So we have one corporation out here that is taking care of the red light cameras and sending out notices like this. This is supposed to be the photograph. It's not very good. I've plucked out the license plate here. That's what that is there. This right here is a copy of the car, and there's the intersection. And this shows a second or so later that it's empty. When you actually look at the film, the video, it actually shows there's no stopping whatsoever. The car just slows down and goes around the corner. But that's neither here nor there, because it also shows the traffic after it, and it's another second or two before traffic comes by, and the traffic that's coming by is in the outside lane. So there was no danger there whatsoever. I've marked through all of the identification things on this citation because we don't need to get that out there. But now, let's get down here to the bottom. You'll notice here that where you're supposed to send your payment is to the City of Fort Worth, Texas Automated Red Light Enforcement, P.O. Box 742503. Where? Cincinnati, Ohio. For those of you who are not familiar with Texas, Cincinnati, Ohio is not in Texas. So they have another corporation now that is responsible for taking your money. This brings up the question, what public official, if any, is connected to either one of these corporations, and is there some type of a kickback going on? I'm not making an accusation. I haven't done an investigation. But that certainly opens up a food for thought. In order to find out about the definitions of vehicle, motor vehicle, and things like that, transportation and whatnot, I refer you back to our video entitled Definitions - Why You Are Not Subject to the Transportation Code.